Greetings, everybody. This is Courtney Starhart with Finding the Force. Finding the Force is a series of conversations with leaders, visionaries, and wayfinders who are unlocking a higher intelligence for the modern world. Guided by the Four Keys system, we explore what it really takes to navigate personal transformation, reclaim inner power, and realign with your soul's original map. I'm a traditional Native medicine person and a doctoral candidate, so I combine a series of Native American traditions and research to interview leaders and visionaries in their field so that you can elevate your life based on the information that they carry. So I'm excited to introduce our two guests today. Would you please introduce yourselves to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Holly Brankusha. I'm the COO of Clinica Research and a research scientist. Clinica Research is a contract research organization that um, partners with companies who want to run clinical trials, and we do all of the background stuff and the science and the statistics.
That's amazing. And how long have you been doing this work?
I've been a research scientist for about 16 years, and I've been working with Clinica since its inception in 2022.
Wow. So, what kind of research do you do specifically, and how does it affect the people who are listening right now?
So, Clinica Research is sort of a unique CRO in that we're not focused on pharmaceutical medicine as much as other CROs are. Our primary focus is alternative medicine, plant medicines, alternative device therapies, um, certain treatments that maybe aren't getting as much attention by the mainstream medicine. That's our focus. Obviously, I think that interests your listeners.
Oh, 100%. We have a lot of people who are holistic health practitioners and doctors, therapists. Mostly our list is in New York. So it's been recent that cannabis was decriminalized here. There are actually people still incarcerated for minor cannabis charges. And it's kind of mind-boggling. So, as a little aside, it's interesting how the criminalization of plant medicine is still affecting people today and how they see things. Have
Mhm.
you had any experience with that?
Absolutely. I think that people are reluctant to trust things that they don't understand on first blush, and they're very reliant upon the recommendations of their doctors. So if that's not something their doctors are talking about, they're right off the bat going to put up a wall. My mother has MS and she could have benefited from some plant medicine, but her neurologist wasn't recommending it. Um, to go back to what you're saying about incarceration, we're in Colorado. Clinical research is based in Colorado. So it's a much different landscape here than it is in New York. We've had legalized cannabis for quite some time. We have decriminalized use of psychedelics now. I know it's a nice progressive thing for this type of research, but I think what we're really hoping to do with the work that we're doing is to help destigmatize, deschedule, so that uh, we're not furthering that idea that people are criminals for using alternative medicines, plant medicines.
Or, God forbid, that they be seen as drug dealers when they're
Correct.
using natural medicine that was given to us by nature for these very purposes.
Yeah, and I
It's
tend to
the beginning
think,
of time.
huh?
And even the terminology that people use when it comes to people who are using plant medicine, you're a pothead, you're a druggie, and all of the other things that come with it, and we've got to eliminate that as well.
Absolutely. At all levels, really. I feel that it would be beneficial if you could go into your doctor and they had an understanding of these alternative medicines. And it turns out that pharmaceutical companies are actually educating doctors and they're not getting much information about nutrition, psychology, mind, body, breath work, plant medicine. I mean, none of that is on the roster. So,
No, and yeah.
no, go ahead, please.
I just think like that is one of my biggest goals. And I know Joanna and I share this, that hopefully the work that we do in studying the science behind why these medicines work will help doctors to feel comfortable having some of these plant therapies as their first line treatments instead of something that people are having to come to on their own. Maybe they don't know how much to start with. They don't know how much to take. They might be having adverse experiences, all trial and error on their own. I'm not sure why it really has to be that way, except that there is this stigma around these treatments, which kind of puts up this block to doctors even wanting to consider it. So we're hoping to remove that barrier.
I'm so grateful for your work. And for those of you who are wondering who this lovely person is, who has barely spoken and not been introduced,
I know.
saving the best part, the most interesting. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that you're not interesting, but the
Joanna is a
story.
celebrity. We're aware. She's our resident celeb.
She is the resident celebrity. So your story is amazing. I'm really grateful that you shared it with me. I think it'll really touch everybody to hear how you got into this. Um, you're amazing.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm Joanna Zeiger. I am the Chief Scientific Officer for Clinical Research. I'm an epidemiologist and biostatistician by trade. And I also, in addition to doing my work with Clinica, I also am the founder of a nonprofit called Cannabis Research Foundation, where we do epidemiological studies and observational studies on cannabis in all kinds of different populations. My background is that I was a professional triathlete. I'm an Olympian and former world champion. I had a horrendous bike accident when I was defending my world championship title in 2009, and it left me with really severe chronic pain. And I also have a cornucopia of medical conditions, so many acronyms, it's unbelievable. I'm like a dictionary. But I come from a background of studying cannabis in youth, and so that's not a group that you really want using cannabis. And also coming from the background of being a professional athlete, there's a huge stigma around cannabis. I did not know it was medicine, and I studied it for 8 years. I still find that completely shocking. I have really severe chronic pain, very severe, from not only my bike accident, but also the various conditions that I have. And traditional medicine was just not cutting it for me in terms of solving my problems of insomnia, pain, lack of appetite, spasticity. And so because we live in Colorado, we're very fortunate. Even though it was medically legal here since 2000, since 2000, but I don't think patients had access until about 2009. And I had qualifying condition. I was way too embarrassed to even figure out how to get it medically. When it became legal recreationally here, I walked into the dispensary and I said, give me this, this is my problem. And they dosed me up with things. I got way too high. It was terrible, but I slept, and it sort of really made me understand as I figured out my dosing that this stuff actually works. And when I talked to other people about it and found out it worked for them, I decided what's in the literature. And there was almost nothing medical. It was all the negative aspects of cannabis. And so I decided to change that with my foundation. And then I stumbled upon mushrooms and psychedelics and this whole world. And my God, it opened up so many fascinating doors, just not for research, but for me personally. I was going through a very, very hard time last year and decided to try psilocybin. I had never tried it before, which I don't know why, crazy, but I hadn't. And so I tried it, and I had the most amazing experience that I think about every single day. Now, it wasn't all like beautiful and mystical and the things that people talk about. It was some of that, but a lot of it was scary. And I felt out of control, which my personality type doesn't like that. And my pain was just exacerbated in ways I cannot describe. I was laughing and crying at the same time. I was laughing at the beauty, crying at the pain. And it was a very difficult experience. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't easy to come through, but I was in a great setting. My husband was there. My service dog was there. I was surrounded by love. And I think that helped. And as I was coming out of this and as coming down from, the whole experience and the hallucinations and everything, I got in the shower because I was freezing cold. And all of a sudden I started anthropomorphizing the pain. And I had a conversation with the pain. And I said, pain, I am not angry at you anymore. And it was the most freeing experience of my entire life, to the point where I am right now currently on day 57 of a migraine. Day 57. In the past, this would have unraveled me emotionally. I would have been having tantrums. I would have been crying every day. I would have been lashing out at my husband. I just would have been a mess. And I have taken this with calm. I don't feel well. It's been very difficult to work, but I have not lashed out once. I have not said I want to jump off the Flatirons. Those are the mountains that are right outside of Boulder. I have not. When my husband says to me, "What can I do for you? What can I get you?" I never say a gun.
No.
I know it's getting dark.
I love
But,
the
you
dark
know,
humor. I'm a medicine person, so the dark humor is great.
But the change has just been, I still can't even believe it. It just opened my mind in ways I never thought possible, to the point that I'm on day 57 of a migraine, and I wrote an entire book during this period of time. So the power of this medicine is so strong, and studying it is so important, so that we can figure out what power do we not even know about yet, and who's going to benefit from it the most, and how can we get it so that it's taught in medical schools, and that it's descheduled so we can do clinical trials, and how can we get people the help that need it the most. And you know, through our studies, we're hoping to figure out what dosing is going to be best for which type of person, and what kind of situation is going to be best for which kind of person, and which psychedelic is going to be best for which kind of person. We don't know these things. You know, we're doing a lot of this just on anecdote, and that's great to have anecdotal evidence. And, you know, back in the 50s and 60s, they were doing lots of clinical trials before it became scheduled, and they found amazing results. And we want to continue that incredible work that has already, the foundation has been laid, and then it was just stopped. And so we are seeing it pick up again, and we are so excited to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be a part of it too. And I also want to give a shout out to the psychedelist, because that's who actually connected us. And it's a nice platform, because it's also elevating, you know, the way that we look at psychedelics and organizing it. As a traditional native medicine person, I spent 20 years studying what you're talking about. How do we prescribe different medicines for different conditions? What's the appropriate dosage? Got a chance to talk to Jordan Gruber the other day, the co-author of the new microdosing book with Fadiman. And he's got a lot of great research too, but again, it's rather than clinical, it's anecdotal. So it's a collection of, you know, over 100 people's experiences with microdosing, looking at what different ailments it helps. And everything from lupus to shingles to insomnia. We can talk about it later, but, you know, other people are doing groundbreaking research, and it's just a great time to be alive, you know?
Yep.
It is. Although I will say the biggest problem with doing research in plant medicine, whether it's cannabis or psychedelics, funding. Funding for research is always hard, always hard. Getting grants, going to foundations, going to advocacy groups, you know, finding the money is just not the easiest thing. A lot of times with traditional pharmaceuticals, the pharmaceutical company will pay for these kinds of trials. When it comes to things like plant medicine, we're not talking about huge pharmaceutical companies with billions of dollars that they can spend on doing research, particularly with psychedelics, where there are no dispensaries to walk into to purchase it. Even in Colorado, where it's decriminalized, it's still not really legal per se. There's nowhere for an average person like you or me to walk into a store and say, I want that, like you can with cannabis. And so that makes it difficult for the product manufacturers to make money. They don't have the money to pay for the trials. The therapists don't have money to pay for the trials. So we are on the brink of launching a survey study on psilocybin, so that we can really learn as much as we possibly can about it, to dictate what the future might look like in terms of our research direction and where other people should go. And even the study itself will give us information on potentially dosing and other kinds of things. But our biggest obstacle right now is finding the funding for it. And so we've come up with a very unique way to find funding for this study, and we are crowdsourcing the funding. And so we are looking for donors from the public to help us fund this very important study. It's called the Purpose Study, and it's being run through my nonprofit. So any donations that anybody makes is tax deductible. Yay, we like that.
Yeah.
And so we're really hoping that all of you who are out there that are listening, that are interested in moving this field forward for all of the reasons that we have discussed, will consider making a charitable gift so that we can run this study and give you the information that you need. Because not only are we going to run the study and publish papers, but we're also going to get out there into the world and shout from the rooftops the results that we have found so that everyone can understand what it is that we've learned.
That's a significant contribution to everyone's well-being, whether they know it or not, right? People who haven't even heard of psychedelics yet are going to benefit in the future from this study. So I'm really grateful for your work. We'll be putting a link to that crowdfunding page, and we'll be putting a link to your other websites so people can learn more about you. Is there anything that you want to say as we're wrapping things up? If you could make any one wish come true, what would it be? Magic wand.
Ease the suffering of others.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just in terms of this, descheduling these substances so that we could study them more thoroughly. That would be my magic wand. So we want to give the information to the powers that be at the DEA and the FDA so that they can make informed decisions. And ultimately, that will help ease the suffering of others.
That's amazing. Well, thank everybody for listening. I try to keep these around 20 minutes so that you can pop in and pop back out into your world. I look forward to hearing what the next steps are, and we'll see you guys next time on Finding the Forest.
Thank you.
Thank you.